The world is on fire, literally and figuratively.
Well, it is 2020.
It is 2020. The Rona is everywhere, except in this wonderful studio. We're already live?
We're
Boom!
live.
Oh my God, we're live. And the table is full of dolls.
They're not dolls, they're action figures.
They're okay. Well, Bob clearly went to but it was glaring on camera. Bob went and bought all the action figures.
Well, all that we could find.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if you've been following us on Twitter, there was a search, and we
now
searched
you've
for them.
showed off your toys. Let's make a little room because we are back. Smirking Down is back. A 2020 Rona and hate-filled Travis is going heel edition because I have. At least I got Le Champion, right? That's who that is. That's what the back says. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm going heel. I've got a lot to say, Bob, and 95% of it is just venom and toxic and all the awful in the world because apparently
Venom and Toxic. So Randy Orton and Velveteen Dream.
we'll get there. That is definitely not so much Randy Orton. I mean, we're going to tie that in because if anybody expected Velveteen
he is the
Dream,
Viper, the Venom.
Yeah. If anybody expected Statutory Dream to get fired over his nonsense after Randy Orton has been able to have people grab his genitalia for years, force people to grab his genitalia for years. Anyway, I am Travis. This is Brother Bob. We are Smarking Down. We're live here in a Rona lockdown edition, the first one back. We wanted to get back to regular recordings, and obviously Corona was crazy. And Bob and I have kind of been talking about it. And the only place I go is work, and the only place Bob goes is really the store. And we felt pretty secure in being able to hunker down in Smarkdown Central here, and we're going to do some shows because if you don't have something to say on the state of wrestling as it is, then apparently you're not a fan or you're not watching because, people are abandoning the NXT ship. AEW is doing okay things. That's good. New Japan's good, right? New Japan's good. I guess New Japan, that'll be the one bright spot. So we'll wait to talk about that. WWE's main roster is a complete train wreck. The world's on fire. The government's collapsing, and we're watching wrestling because we need an escape. But Bob, let's start with probably the scariest news. Sonya Deville. Guy breaks into Sonya Deville's house and is got zip ties and all sorts of accoutrement and is going to kidnap her. And her and Mandy Rose make it out safe, and the guy gets arrested, which is, what should have happened.
Well, I mean, between that and the Seth Rollins having to come out and actually talk down Becky Lynch fans saying, hey, can you stay out of our pregnancy and quit
All right.
Yeah,
this is where
it's been bad.
We haven't done a show in months, and we're coming back, and this may be the last show after I get done because IWC marks. Just shut your mouths.
Yep.
Just shut your mouth. So you made me leave Facebook. Not entirely you, but I just can't be on Facebook anymore, Bob. I have deactivated my account because I don't want to deal with seeing it in my feed because you are trash. IWC marks, you are garbage, okay? This guy, look, I'm glad Sonya Deville is safe. I'm glad Mandy's safe. That's good. This guy arrested, rightfully so. Don't even try to, you're defending him with what I'm about to say because I'm not. But the amount of just human toxic waste that exists on the internet makes me want to puke because, let's string him up and castrate him and this and that. Look, man, you go back and we're not going to put I got the guy's name. I'm not going to publicize it. His Twitter became very public very quickly. It's a 2-year cry for help. This guy should have been in some sort of therapy, counseling, medicated under psychiatric, supervision for years. Okay? And God forbid you actually make the comment, hey, I hope this guy gets some help. he's obviously he committed some crimes. He's going to have to pay for those. But I hope this guy gets some therapy and help because, clearly there was a problem here for a long time, and it did not go unnoticed. And you people that are just like, oh, just kill him. Go fuck yourselves, okay? Just go fuck yourselves because you have no compassion you are half of what is wrong, not with just the wrestling community, but with the world. Just go. I have no patience for these people, Bob, because mental illness is real, okay? Right? This is clearly one of those cases. Like, this guy was... Wow. Did you read his Twitter?
Yeah. I seen all of the things. It was just completely shocking in that the fact that while his Twitter was a little step beyond, the scary part is there's so many similar Twitter, Instagram, Facebook feeds out there with people saying a lot of the same stuff about other people. There is this whole subsection of the internet wrestling community which is just obsessed with these female wrestlers and think that like they somehow have a relationship with them, and it's a scary situation.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to go down the social commentary road, but it's a failure of that, recognizing that mental health is health, but look, like, this guy needs help. All right, he's going to have to be punished, right? Like, he's going to have to serve his time. Like, nobody's saying you get to do this and not get away with it scot-free. But this is not rational behavior.
No.
And this isn't just like, oh, he stole some stuff or, he beat somebody up, or like, this is real scary stuff.
Yep.
But if you can't also agree that maybe, all right, so this guy's going to prison, right? When he gets out, if you don't get him any help, what do you think's going to happen, you dumbass?
Yeah, exactly.
You stupid idiot.
Yeah, but I mean, then we can get on the whole discussion of
Very appropriate.
We can get on the whole discussion about the prison system in general.
Let's not. So. I am glad. I am thankful. I'm thankful that both of the girls made it out. You never want to see the boys and girls anything bad happen to them. Mm-hmm. And it's a different kind of danger today with stuff like this and the mental illness and social media and the stalking. Yep. You think about in the olden days when heat was real and stuff. It was people shooting at the heels and trying to stab the heels, and real violence being perpetrated against the heels. That was where kind of the danger lie within pro wrestling. Now it's, obsessive fans.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, where they and because of social media and because it's so integral to the careers of the boys and girls.
Yep.
Right? Like, and we really have more access to celebrities in general than we've ever had before. Yeah, like back in the day, if you wanted to try and interact with these people, you had to go to a venue, go to a concert, go to a show, wait out back for 2 hours, try and get an autograph, right? Maybe it's that the fact that we are saturated with that connection with them, it gives this false sense of a relationship with these people. And yeah, this is something moving forward as a society we're going to have to deal with. But you useless pigs that are just like, die. You know what? Clearly you've never dealt with anybody that has mental illness in your family, and you have no sympathy and you have no compassion, and that's okay. If that's who you are, then just hit stop, go away. I don't even want to deal with you. I don't want to converse with you. No. But you know what they're going to, you're defending some guy who tried to rape and kill. No, I'm not. I'm saying he's going to prison. I'm not saying he shouldn't go to prison. I'm not saying there shouldn't be severe consequences to this. I'm saying maybe get the guy some help so when he comes out, he isn't a complete train wreck still.
Yeah. You don't want to see him do it again.
Because what if he gets out? What if he does it again? What if he's successful?
Yeah. And I mean, theoretically, you've seen historically people who are involved in crimes who went to prison and then got out and seeked vengeance. So what about somebody who's mentally unstable going to prison? Is this going to be a situation where if they don't get help, they come out and go after her again?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to see that. You need to not only punish him for his crimes, but rehabilitation is important.
So we have that. We have Johnny Wrestling almost die in the middle of the match, and the wonderful doctors at WWE decide to let him go ahead and continue on.
Sure,
and
they gave him a Z-Pack.
Yeah, I'm sure they. Yeah, you know what? All right. See, I told you there. I've got nothing. I just worked almost 16 hours. I have no fucks left to give. And, that's where we're at. Look, sometimes you got to save a guy from himself, right? The wrestler, the athlete, 90% of the time, they're going to want to finish the match.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, on this week's episode of NXT, Johnny Gargano had a match. And they actually had to reshoot half the match. If you watch the match, you saw the bump. They left the bump in, which was I can't believe they left that bump in and they used it as part of the storyline, because like that match, and I'm gonna pull it up because the opponent, it's the name's eluding me right now, Bob. I can't remember who he was wrestling when he took that bump. I had it here. Ridge Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Big meaty guy. I love the commentary reference. I think it was. I don't remember which one of the commentators said. One of them referenced that he reminded them of a young Rick Steiner, big beefy guy, power move set, things like that. Up and coming athlete. And the match started off. It was good. It was just good, solid. You figured it was going to be one of these. They're getting ready to maybe push Gargano a little bit again. They got the North American title match coming up. Blah blah blah. And match started off really good, and Ridge, it was just this weird slam, and he landed like Gargano just landed on his dome, and it was scary. If you watch it, go watch. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. Just watch the clip, and immediately you can tell he's hurt. He's injured. He's not just hurt. He's injured. Okay. So they apparently stopped. The reports are they stopped the tapings. They stopped shooting. Johnny said he can go. You got to stop the guy, right? Like, this is one of those cases, like, holy crap. You just don't let a guy that's taking a head injury like that make that decision. Throw up the X, shoot around it. It's a taped show, for God's sakes. It's not even live. And then you let him finish the damn match when he's probably got a concussion. Oh, well, he ain't got a concussion. We're doctors. Yeah, because your doctors are so good at diagnosing stuff, right?
Yep.
Right? You've got the best doctors. Oh, clearly the best trainers and all that, because it's not like they just kind of ignore head injuries in general and have for 30 years. Yeah, I really trust WWE at this point.
And the thing is that if a wrestler was to get a nosebleed in the ring and have like blood running out of his nose during the match, they absolutely would have stopped the match and waited until which time that blood had stopped, because it's taped and because blood on TV is a no-no in WWE. So they would have stopped that. Now, in comparison, you have somebody who likely suffered a concussion, who they paused things and then put right back in the ring than
they let him finish. And you don't blame Gargano for that, because you never want to blame. There's a little bit of onus, right? Like they have to own it a little bit, and most of the guys will. They'll be like, man. You listen to wrestlers, you listen to football players, whatever, hockey players, guys who take big hits routinely, and they're all like, yeah, I've got some incidents, where I probably shouldn't have been out there. I probably shouldn't have, but I wanted to finish, because that's the mindset, right? That's the athlete mindset, the competitive mindset. You get into, and especially in wrestlers, it's ingrained in wrestlers. Finish the match. Mm-hmm. Finish the match. That's why you're supposed to have these medical professionals. I use the word loosely when it comes to WWE products, because it's WWE. Words don't mean what they actually mean in WWE, and you got to pull the ripcord and stop that match.
Yep.
That bump, it just looks, and there are bumps. We've seen bumps that look awful, and you can tell the guy took it, and they're like, oh, that sucked.
Mhm.
This was not one of those, oh, that sucked bumps. Like, you could immediately tell. And they used it in the match, and they get through, and, yeah, it picks up the win and whatnot. But, like, I don't even care at that point. This is not 1996, all right? This is not 1994. I don't want to see guys, like, taking steel chairs off the head and trying to fight through injury. And, look, we've learned so much in the last 20 years. Especially about the head and neck injuries.
And on that point, for anybody who's sitting here saying, oh, Travis is just begging on NXT right now, and he's a mark for AEW, we said just as much about Cody and Sean Spears with that unprotected chair shot.
Go back on the channel and watch me talk about Cody. And, no, it's not cool. It should not happen. Like, you got the hardcore stuff, and you have to use it sparingly. You have to try and prepare for it. I can't in today's day and age. I cannot condone an unprotected chair shot to the head in any way, shape, or form anymore. Like, I just can't, because, like, I care too much about these guys. Like, having met, like, a fair amount of pro wrestlers now.
Yeah.
Like, these are good guys that are working really hard and trying to entertain us, and it's like, I don't want to see them crippled. I don't want to see them with brain damage. We've heard some of the stories about, like Mick and some of the legendary hardcore guys where it's like
barely move around.
The damage is apparent.
I remember meeting Mick before he had the hip surgery, and he could barely get into the building. He barely could get up on stage to do his comedy act. Afterwards, he was in a bunch of pain just sitting there signing autographs. And this was just shortly after he finished up the final real run of his career. And I'm just happy that post a whole bunch of surgeries, including hip replacement and everything, that he's now able to get around and move around on his own without being in that level of pain.
So basically they are irresponsible and let Gargano finish the match.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, well, how do you know he wasn't? Look, anybody who watches that, even in the post shoot, it doesn't look like he's selling. It looks real. He looks injured, and it's just it set me off. And then like, the matches on the card on the NXT show were pretty all right, except, like, so. We have the statutory dream outrage, right? Like, Velveteen Dream accused multiple times of grooming, sending naked pics, and trying to pick up chicks as young as 15.
Yep.
And conveniently or not, has a car accident and goes away for a while. And, Triple H, good old Paul, trying out their new Damage Control a couple days ago, kind of waved at it when asked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, well, we investigated it type of thing. And, you can go read the quote, guys. Like, anybody who wants, it's out there. He basically said that they feel comfortable moving forward with the plans for Dream. And, look, this is multiple accounts. Dream and the accusers have both said that nobody has contacted either of them about these allegations and accusations.
Yep.
So what kind of investigation did WWE do? And look, like, Twitterverse was outraged, and I'm like, again, wrestling fans, what did you expect? This is a company that takes blood money from a crazy, murderous regime in the Middle East that allows their women to be beat and murders reporters that happen to be dissident former citizens. And, like, really, they send a hit squad and cut up reporters.
This is a company whose owner and CEO covered up for a murder in attempt to keep his superstar.
Allegedly. I just want to allegedly. Yes, the Snuka murders. The Snuka murder, Vince, perhaps.
Hey, I'm not saying he committed the murder. I'm not saying he is the only reason possible that Snuka didn't end up in jail. I'm just saying that he insinuated himself to help cover it up.
Hey, look.
Because he showed up there, and there's eyewitness reports, and it says that he showed up there in the logs from the police station.
Yeah.
So he was
Vince
there.
showed up.
He was involved.
Vince showed up. Jimmy was in a little bit of trouble. Vince showed up, and Jimmy got to leave. That's what we do know. Like, that's pretty well known, okay?
Yep.
Like, so let's not act like Vince is all about fostering a positive workplace that is free of harassment, Randy Orton dick touching.
Yeah.
I mean, how is Randy Orton still freaking employed?
I mean, how's Matt Riddle?
I don't know.
I mean,
like,
this we had this come out with all these wrestlers who, I mean, some of them who maybe unjustly got tied in, guys like Ospreay and B. Priestley, for like not believing someone's story. But then at the same time, because there's so many WWE marks out there, WWE doesn't do anything about Dream and Riddle, and there's a bunch of people defending them.
So you have someone with multiple allegations of what is very questionable and very, if they're true, illegal conduct with minors, sexual conduct towards minors. That'll get you on a list.
Yep.
And that'll get you on multiple lists, especially if you go to the Yard. That's not a list you want to be on. And he's going to get a push, and he's probably – I got to imagine they're going to put that North American title on him, right? Why else do you have him beat Finn Balor?
Because WWE is stupid. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we all understand that at this point, right? Like, WWE is just it's a dumpster fire. It's just terrible.
Well, I mean, you and I had the discussion about the fact that they have a guy in Finn Balor whose merchandise with his demon gimmick is selling at more than 4 times retail. His action figures, his pop vinyls, and stuff they've released since without his gimmick, like, sits on the shelves at Five Below. And I'm like, you would think WWE would recognize that and put the paint back on the guy and have him win big matches.
So there's a reason I'm wearing the OGBC shirt tonight, because, I figure the way they're burying Finn Balor, I don't know when his contract runs out, but I think it's more likely we see Prince Devitt sooner than later at this point.
Well, the reason I'm wearing the Adam Cole baby shirt because I think they're about to bury him.
Well, not just him, the entire roster. All right. So when the highlight of your show is the celebrity guest to have a match guy in Pat McAfee and Adam Cole is the highlight of your show, well, I guess you that's what you want, right? I mean, that's what WWE wants. That's not what I want. I hate these matches. I railed against these matches. Go back to the old show like 4 years ago, which if I could get the hard drive to work, I would love to load some of our old shows up. It's they're audio only, but you'll hear me 4 years ago railing about celebrity matches because I hate them. They're never good. Never good. Some of them are okay, right? I will say this. Pat cut a good promo. Now everybody's like, oh, it was terrible. No, it was a good promo. Like, let's be honest about it.
I don't know. I heard the opposite direction of everybody saying it's like the best promo anybody in WWE's cut.
No. Well, I mean, it was a good promo. Look, it was better than some of the main roster promos we see.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a lights out promo. And we can get into why, because it essentially like if they put McAfee over Cole, it literally buries the entire male NXT roster with the exception of Keith Lee. So if you watched it, you should know what I'm talking about. If not, he comes out and he's like, you gave me 2 weeks to train for this match, and I'm going to beat you. What does it say about you? You were undefeated for 400 whatever days, the champion, you're the best, the king of NXT. What does it say if I beat you and I only train for 2 weeks? It says you're trash, it says your roster's trash, and it says your product's trash. That's what it says. You just buried the entire roster, you stupid freaking idiot.
Now, for comparison, because there aren't a whole lot of guys who have a record comparable to Adam Cole's currently in NXT. Like wrestling WWE in general. You can look at Undertaker's streak or Mania. You can look at Goldberg, maybe his streak in WCW.
Okay.
So picture, say, and I mean Goldberg was still super new. He was a rookie. He Cole's been around a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say WWE brought in a kicker from a football team and had them go over, Undertaker at Mania. How did that then make Shawn Michaels, Triple H, CM Punk, Edge, those guys look?
I don't understand this. Like, I've never, like, I get it. You want the celebrity pop, whatever you're trying. And Vince is, Vince and the company in general they're scrambling for ratings, right? That's what they're doing because ratings are down across the board.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, we got to be honest. NXT posted best rating of the year. There was no AEW. Right around 850. I don't have the number in front of me, but we looked. It was like 840, 850. It was the best number of the year, the best number since they won against AEW back in November. And look, y'all are getting too caught up in the ratings war every week. This is what you should have expected. I know, WWE marks, they're going to crush. And WWE is a company. We're going to pull a big rating. Well, it was a big rating. Like if you look, the last time that they had a show when they didn't have any competition was Christmas, I believe. They pulled in the low 800s. So that's kind of your benchmark. Now you've got two of those, two shows, no AEW, you're in the 800s, okay? You're going to pull a decent rating. But the demos went up a bit. Okay, sure. Some people probably tuned in, take a peek, and say, what the hell's going on NXT? I've got nothing better to do. I might as well watch for a little bit, sure, whatever. But there's not a ton of crossover. At least that's what we're kind of gathering from what the numbers are saying. It's not like, they didn't pull the 800,000 or 900,000 that are watching AEW. They pulled maybe like 125. So there's what, maybe upwards if you're going high end 200,000 people that are willing to cross over from AEW to NXT.
Yep. And theoretically, those might just be people who watched Raw, seen the advertisement for NXT this week, thought it looked good, and figured they'd tune in.
I mean, we don't know, and you will never know. But look, that's a successful rating. Like that's the thing. AEW, they couldn't even do this. They couldn't even get 1 million, and there was no AEW. Ha 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 ha. Look, all right, they popped the number. It's the highest number of the year. That's a success.
For them.
Yeah.
For the highest number for them.
It doesn't matter. Like that's the thing. You can't.
Well, no, because there's a huge difference between highest number of the year, because that's bigger than Raw or SmackDown, and that's a huge deal compared to just bigger number of the year for them.
Well, yeah,
which is below Raw, below SmackDown, below AEW.
Biggest number of the year for NXT. Obviously, I'm talking about brand, like the show specific. It's the biggest number of the year for NXT. Okay, that's a win. That's good. That's what you would expect. There's no competition. You're trying to do a go-home show to your big pay-per-view.
They had that big who's Finn Balor going to face gimmick going in.
Yeah, like you should have pulled the biggest audience of the year, and you did. Okay? AEW marks, you really can't hate on that. Like, they did what they should have done. WWE marks, don't puff out your chest like you did something fancy. Mm-hmm. Like, you did what you should have done. Let's move on. Like, just deal with it. Like, that's what should have happened. We need to see more samples of what happens when shows get moved around and things like that. We need a longer period of ratings. Like people are so caught up, and it's like, man, AEW is still a new company compared to even NXT, let alone the main roster brands.
And I mean, as far as the ratings go, I mentioned this to you. I mean, unless there's somebody out there who's worked at the Nielsen rating company who wants to come on one of the wrestling podcasts or one of the YouTube channels and discuss how this algorithm works and what numbers get plugged in where, I mean, it's all a crapshoot anyway. It's like 10% of the homes in the U.S. that they have boxes. They're taking that information, they're plugging it into a formula, and they're coming out with what the number would be. But we don't know how that formula is affected by, head-to-head against higher-rated programs. We don't know how it's affected about change in nights, if that's a detriment or not. We don't know how any of that stuff works out. So until we do, it's all really conjecture on everyone's point. The key is looking at, the demographic and where that demo finishes to, pop your advertisers. I mean, that's all you can really take from it. The whole idea of like, oh, this show did over 1 million. Okay, great. But like that's not what speaks to advertisers, and that's not necessarily the number they actually legitimately did. It could be substantially different from that because we don't know how these algorithms are figured out.
So if you can ignore the fact that Gargano almost died, and if you can ignore the fact that a former NFL punter / radio personality essentially threatened to bury the entire roster, and you can ignore the fact that there is a child groomer / alleged sex offender in the main event, the actual in-ring stuff was fine. If you can ignore all that, yeah, of course it is, because they're all talented.
The fact is in-ring talent is not an issue within NXT or WWE. WWE has the best roster in
ever
professional wrestling.
Period.
Ever.
I'd
like to say New Japan is close.
Nope,
but
not even. It's not. It's just
they
from a
they
talent
have the top
standpoint.
stars from every freaking company that they've went and siphoned up. Best stars from Ring of Honor, best stars from TNA, a lot of them left. But the best stars from New Japan, like there's a lot of the top stars from every company in the U.S. that they've siphoned up. And
I'm not. There's a difference between talent and booking, right?
Yep.
Like in stories and things like that. Talent. WWE has more talent on its roster, top to bottom, all brands, than every other wrestling company in the world combined. I will say that definitively.
You could say, I could make the argument that New Japan's in-ring talent, in just wrestling in-ring capabilities, are on par with WWE's. But as a American fan, and being that most of their rosters speak Japanese, WWE's got a heads up on all the promo work that those talent that those guys have.
So the issue is, Bob, is the top guys and to the mid card guys in New Japan are very good, right? Or great. Like the top guys in Japan are great. They are great. They could come over and be as good as anyone on the WWE's roster.
Yep.
Right? And it's so subjective. I hate getting in the, well, so-and-so's better. So-and-so's better. You can look, there's certain guys you can look and be like, look, I'm a huge Ishii mark, right? Mm-hmm. Ishii is not on the level of the super top guys in terms of work or promo or whatever. I love him. I think he can work with those guys. But he's just, it's very, it's not, he can't just go out and have great matches with anybody, right? He's not going to carry a match. Yeah. He's a guy who can go in and work with those top guys and give them all great matches and be great in what he does, okay? But nobody is going to say Ishii is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Even me, as a huge mark for him, right? I'm not going to do that because that would be super disingenuous. But you can look at that kind of that level. You can be like, yeah, who are some of the greatest wrestlers in the world? Tanahashi, Okada, Styles, there's a list, right? Yeah. And you kind of have to nod and be like, yeah, okay. And I know some of the New Japan, IWC, WWE haters, they don't want to put any WWE guys on that list because WWE makes them work a style, and the stories are terrible and the product is bad. But let's not act like Seth Rollins isn't one of the top wrestlers in the world. Like, don't ignore the booking and whatnot. But like, if you took him out of there and really used him to his potential, you're telling me that he couldn't work with one of those other top guys at a Wrestle Kingdom and just tear the house down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't argue that. You can argue, is he the best? No, he's not the best wrestler in the world because he's in shitty booking.
Yeah.
He's in booking hell and character hell, and he seems to want to be the locker room leader over there, and nobody wants him to be the locker room leader,
including
and
Vince.
he just pisses everybody off. But he's a hell of a talent, right? Like,
Yep.
you can't say that. So where you get to why New Japan isn't on WWE's level is because there are those top level guys. WWE has like triple of those just because of the sheer roster size, right? So, like, yeah, Okada's amazing, right? Kenta's amazing. And you saw what they did with Kenta. Like, would anybody say Kenta was amazing coming off his run in NXT?
Very, very few.
Like, people who remembered him being amazing in Japan and, like, were marking out when he came over and then were sorely disappointed, it's just one of those things. WWE just has such a deep roster, and that's what we're talking about. They have so much talent. Like, they have guys in the mid-card that could be, back in the territory days, they could be champions in a territory.
They have guys who are not being utilized almost at all, who were being considered top 10 best in the world and champions in New Japan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, Ricochet did that example.
Yeah.
Shinsuke. I mean, Nakamura.
I mean, Balor. Balor's a great example.
Balor.
Balor's the ultimate. I think Balor may be the ultimate example of confirmation bias for Vince, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Vince gives him a push, gives him a chance, first ever Universal Champion. It gets injured, and it confirms every bias Vince has about small guys.
Well, I mean,
injury prone, bury him.
So we unfortunately ended up with a situation where they pushed Finn, he got injured, and they pushed Daniel Bryan, and he had a career-ending injury. And that's just, it's terrible because those guys finally kind of broke through to be able to have that opportunity to be pushed as the guy. And then, Vince just went right back to the way things were. I don't know how. I don't know what Shawn Michaels had on Vince McMahon in the 90s where he was able to get away with all the shit he got away with, and Vince just let him do it and kept putting belts on him, being a smaller guy, because
Vince was still having flashbacks to Ico Pro. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a likely part of it.
Like that was the small guy era.
But I mean, they went with Shawn over Brett, and that's the question. It's like Shawn, like from all accounts, was just a pretty terrible human being. Even he said it, and didn't want to work with anybody, and for some reason always seemed to be hurt during the summer months when vacation time came, and yet Vince kept going with him over Brett, and I don't know what happened from that point to now to where he's unwilling to push any smaller guys at all, being of how much he pushed Shawn, and maybe it's just because WCW beat WB during that time period. But it's an unfortunate situation. The Balor and the Daniel Bryan injuries, I think, really poisoned Vince against the idea of smaller guys again.
Bob, you and I tried to watch a little bit of Raw.
About 20 minutes.
I didn't even know. No, I can't. I don't even want to say anything. I hate it. Like, I hate it. I watch a clip now and then. I don't really. I can't comment on it beyond the fact that it disgusts me. Apparently, Thunderdome pictures leaked, and it was a little bit test run on the network, you said?
Yeah, so the network was having problems leading into Thunderdome with anything working at all. Like, the network itself was freezing up and having issues, and then people were being booted off the Thunderdome preview and just being booted from the network. So there seemed to be a whole lot of tech issues with it. beyond the fact that it looks a whole lot like the game Guess Who set up behind the wrestling ring.
Are you wearing glasses?
Yeah. Is your person wearing glasses?
I don't know if I mean, I assume kids still play board games
Like,
today, right? That's still probably a popular game.
WWE totally needs to market their own WWE Thunderdome game
Thunderdome
with a
Guess
little
Who?
ring in the center with the Guess Who stuff, and then like the kids can be like, "Does your wrestler wear face paint?" Yes. Oh, you're Sting, or does your wrestler? Yeah, like
wouldn't be
totally.
Sting wouldn't make the board because he's not a WWE.
I know, right?
wrestler.
They'd have to re-sign him to that Legends deal.
So I don't know. I mean, we've got SummerSlam coming up. I guess I'm gonna try and watch SummerSlam. I feel like for the show I have to. That way I can maybe like Jim Cornette it and I just yell for an hour.
So many better
about
things on this weekend.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I think Takeover's going to be a good show. Like, look, Keith Lee's a star, right? And Roadkill Cross is going to have a good match. I can't get over that name.
Sorry, I've poisoned it for you.
Yeah, you ruined it for me. No, seriously, Karrion Kross, great talent. Keith Lee, I think Keith Lee's a star, and I think that match. But yeah, I guess the last thing on NXT, what the hell? Like the 9-minute. Like, all right, the video packages WWE does are top notch. They're the best in the business. But that one was like 6 minutes too long, and I think it went 7 minutes or something. It was just, kept going and going and go.
You think they need to extend it for the Gargano match after maybe they had to cut too much out of that?
No, it was because it was like later. So I watched the Hulu version. So maybe it was chopped up out of order for me. I watched it on Hulu. I don't
watch the show, Travis. Why would I watch the show?
Jesus, Kate Brock. Oh, jeez. It was midway through the show when I got the package, and it was just long. It was great. It was well produced. It told the story and kept telling the story and kept telling the story and kept telling the story. Just come on, I get it. Like, okay, let's move on. It's gonna be a good match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, takeovers always the takeovers. This is takeover 30. They're gonna go big. I hope none of the guys die in the ladder match. Like, maybe Velveteen Dream gets a little injured and not seriously, but maybe has to go off TV again for a while so they can reinvestigate these charges. Yeah. I don't know. Like, people are. I don't know if it'll help. It sounds like there's a lot of people done with NXT now.
Yeah,
a lot of people outraged, understandably so.
There's just so much better stuff on this weekend to watch than anything that has to stress you out. With New Japan.
UFC?
Friday show, UFC, AEW, like the weekend's stacked, and I don't feel the need to put myself through the anger and whatever. I mean, I would like to see Dakota Kai's match. I'll probably watch that after the fact, and I don't know, the Mandy and Sonya Deville match seems like something I wouldn't mind watching. The hair versus hair match. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see if they have the balls to shave Mandy or not. I'm assuming that Sonya Deville is going to lose.
Yeah, probably.
But we'll see if they have the balls to shave Mandy Rose. So that kind of interests me. But beyond that, I don't care enough to put myself through.
I think
the likelihood of terrible.
I think
booking.
the Cole McAfee match will probably be the most respectable celebrity match maybe in the history of wrestling in terms of celebrity/athlete. I think Cole can carry him. I think he's a fan of the product. My guess is if he's doing this, he's been going to wrestling school. That's my guess. Like, really going.
We'll have to see. I mean,
I could be wrong.
Stephen Amell had 4 matches, and by the time third and fourth match, specifically is that tag team match with the Bullet Club in San Antonio. Like, he had some really good spots in that match. He worked with multiple guys on the other side.
We'll see.
Wasn't
we'll
a
see.
one-on-one.
I am not a fan of these matches. Again, not a fan of these matches.
Well, I mean,
but
it's guaranteed to be better than Big Show Akebono. So I mean. We're not going to have to go that far. It's not going to be Dennis Rodman, Kurt Hennig in Australia.
Brutal.
I mean, so I mean, we're bound to see some.
My guess is, but I don't know how you put him over Cole without just
And that's the thing, like,
that you're just killing his career.
If they put him over Adam Cole, then and that's the reason I don't want to watch, because I have a feeling they're going to, because
Probably
that's
what they do.
They ruin things I like. So
unless he gets help to go over somehow, I don't know. I don't see how you could save that promo. It was damning.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those promos where, as somebody who's been a fan for a long time, and again, talk to wrestlers, you listen to them, you're like, man, don't bury your competition that hard, right? You want to get heat, but you don't want to bury them. And he didn't, he got a little bit of heat, but he buried everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
this is my 8th career. This is my 8th career. I'm a next level human. You're great. You're at the top of your business, but what does it say if I train for 2 weeks and come in here and win? It says that everybody in NXT is trash. That's what it says. And that's what you've told everybody. So unless he's like Pat McAfee's going to make a career of pro wrestling, you better not put him over. Like, unless he's coming and he's going to get like he just, I don't know, maybe he's been in a dungeon someplace training for 3 years, and this is his dream job, and he's finally getting his shot, and he's going to come out and he's going to look like some weird combination between Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig and Sting, and I don't know, like some amalgamation of like the perfect wrestler, and we're going to be like, what the hell did we just witness? And then all of a sudden he just smashes everybody and goes to the main roster and smashes everybody and just wins everything, and then retires, right? He's just like the perfect wrestler. I don't see how they get out of this, and who really thinks that's going to happen? Like, I'm just saying, like, that's the only thing I could see why you would do this.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to, like, he would have to have been earmarked as the next John Cena at this point for them to put him over Cole, and like Vince would have to be sure that he was the next guy, and that he was on the fast track, and I don't see that being a thing that this early in his career. Though, I mean, they freaking paid Gronk more money than all the guys they released, after Mania. So
So all right, let's
Vince and his football hard on. Even though he lost NXT and they went to The Rock.
XFL to The Rock. Yeah, The Rock now owner of the XFL. I guess that's notable since been gone. Let me try to take a breath and not hate everybody that's on that side of the camera and everything that's in wrestling and find my zen spot, right? Like this 4 Horsemen angle, AEW, they're doing some nice things, but I'm not going to put AEW over as hard as you. Like AEW, like the AEW marks would believe you this is the best wrestling in the history of wrestling, okay? It's not. It's not even close. Like
New Japan's still the best wrestling on the planet, and I'm sorry, it's just the case.
Yeah. What AEW is when you compare it to the shit that you get on Raw on a week-to-week basis. And again, I try. Like I'll tune in and I'll watch something and it'll immediately tune me out. And then I'll give it like 3 weeks and I'll try to tune back in, and they just they make me turn off the TV. So it's not like I'm not trying. But AEW gives me a consistent product where it is consistently okay to good. Like, I'll be like, there's a couple things on there. Okay, it's okay match, and then good match. Okay, cool. But I won't say never. I very rarely, since they killed the Nightmare Collective, I very rarely leave an AEW watching experience where I'm done watching the show and say I hated that show.
You even had good things to say about Orange Cassidy recently.
I can't. Yeah, it's 2020. I mean, like I said, the world is ending. So, his that debate promo thing that was the best work he's done. Yeah. That's what I said. Like, I was like, well, you made me invest a little bit. I don't hate him when he does that, but like if this is gonna be the slow shift of Orange Cassidy to actually working, because the guy can work, we've seen it. That's the most infuriating part. He can actually work.
Yep.
And let's get rid
That's
of the.
been my problem the whole time.
If they turn the lazy gimmick into a laid back gimmick, which it kind of seems like that's the direction they're going, it went from like this sloth gimmick, this energy conserving gimmick, where he's just the chill guy now, right? Like he comes out and he's like, but he's actually wrestling now.
Yep.
Okay, this is a little better. That was the perfect, like, I mean, Le Champion is he. Look, you put Orange Cassidy into a program with a guy who can get anything over. We again go back and listen to some of our old shows. We've talked about all the things Jericho can get over, like
Mitch.
he got Ficus over, he got Ralphus over, he got like
jacket.
a clipboard
All
over,
all
of his jackets over. You got another jacket over. It's just Jericho can get anything over. Phrases, objects, other wrestlers, Fandango, like everything. Jericho just he is money in what he does. One of the all-time greats. So you put Cassidy into the promo with him, and you give him like the opportunity. Like Jericho set him up perfectly. Bischoff, the appearance by Bischoff. Bischoff is, whether you like or hate, Eric Bischoff for his behind the scenes stuff and WCW and whatever, the one thing you cannot take away from Bischoff is Bischoff was always good on camera.
Yep.
As an announcer, doing commentary, doing interviews, as a personality. He is dynamic. He is entertaining, and he's always spot on. He was there too, He had that exchange with Jericho, and it was just real quick at the very end where Jericho's like, Bischoff, I hate you. It's been 20 years, and I've always hated you. And he's like, it's been 25, and I know what you mean. Like, it's perfect little one-liner, a little shot back. Great. I know some people, they're bringing back. You know what? He comes back for a one-off. They keep bringing back old people, but when WWE does it, look, they didn't put him over and they didn't smash him over in 6 matches and bury all the young talent. He came in as a special guest and got the hell out. Now we're not going to see him for 6 months.
It's not like he's got a 2-year contract still with them like Goldberg does with WWE.
So look, there's a big difference bringing in, again, they had Tag Team Appreciation Night, brought in the Rock and Roll.
Yep.
And obviously Arn and Tully are already there, right? Rock and Roll got to get beat up, take some bumps. They're still that. It is absurd that those guys are in their 60s and can work as well as they do. Like Ricky Morton works better than some guys in their 20s.
Yeah,
that's
true.
He's so good, right? And to give the rub to FTR like they did, just great. Getting the heat. I'm really, to get back to what I said about AEW, the Four Horsemen angle. I don't know. We're due the tweet. Bob's running the Smarking down Twitter for the most part now, but every so often I'll log on and I'm due again. I'm gonna have to tweet Tony Khan and Cody and Arn and everybody. I'm like, if this doesn't end with FTR and assorted other guys, and at this point I think it's got to be Cardona. Cardona has to turn on Cody and be the leader of whatever they're going to call this new Four Horsemen group, because that would just be too perfect. And if it does not end with 5 guys, 3 of which are FTR and Arn, standing over the top of a bloody Cody Rhodes doing this, and Arn saying something to the effect of, a Rhodes can never be a horseman, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. I tweet that at everybody I can in AEW. I'm like, just book this. Please, for the love of God, it is money. We will lose our minds. As a fan, I would mark the fuck out.
And Cody doesn't need to be in any more groups. He is a member of the Elite. He's got the Nightmare family. I'm like, he's already in 2 factions. I'm like, you don't need him part of the Four Horsemen.
I don't. Well, whatever they can't call it the Four. Well, whatever they're going to call this faction. But yeah,
as long as it's not Fortune 4.
But I mean,
damn TNA.
That sets up a lot of possibilities. I mean, you look at it and you're like, who do you put in that group, right? I think the best setup for that is, it's going to be FTR, right? FTR and Arn. You want Tully associated somehow, so it's got to be Spears, right? So who's going to lead the group? You have the build be that Cody's going to be the leader, 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 and then Cardona turns on him.
You have to wonder how that fits Adam Cole, because Adam Cole's been buddying up with FTR.
Not Adam Cole.
Or no, Adam Cole. Page. Adam Page.
Hangman Page.
Hangman.
Well, you may do a fifth. That's the thing, because it's not going to be the four horsemen, right? Because WWE, obviously. You could do a 5-man group, right? Like whatever you're gonna call it, and he could be like Paige could be your fifth guy, right? Like, and that really it opens up possibilities. I don't know what they're gonna do. That's the best part about AEW. That's what keeps me watching AEW. On a week-to-week basis, I genuinely don't know what they're gonna do. Like,
which is great.
When there's a title match, you're like, they may actually switch the title here pretty much every time. Like, I had no idea if Cody was going to drop that title to Scorpio, right? Yep. Like
a lot of people thought he was.
Like, yeah. I mean, they set it up, and they had a heck of a match. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was barn burner. It wasn't like a right home, but I was like, oh, that's a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody got out with a win.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay. Like, it didn't bury Scorpio Sky at all. Retained position. I think now maybe is the drop you need, because right now, like, I know Cody's trying to work heel. That's why you got to turn him babyface. That's why he can't.
Or they need to just turn him heel. Like right now, he's working in between. And it doesn't.
I don't know if you can turn him heel. That's the thing. Fans love him so much for like making this happen. Like the AEW fans are they want to cheer Cody. They want to, and even when he works heel, they cheer him. Because they're like, we don't care. Our guy's winning. We don't care. That's why I think you turn him in that Dusty Rhodes fashion, and you make it where it's the Horsemen. It's a new breed generation of quote unquote horsemen endorsed by Arn and Tully, turning on another Rhodes.
But,
it's so perfect.
How do you turn Cody in that situation? How is he not full on face?
He is. That's what you want. You want Cody full on babyface. You want Cody full on babyface, and you want him chasing titles. That's what you want, because
he's not chasing the world title because he can't have another shot.
Well, no. That's how you work around it. He's like, I'm not gonna wrestle for the world title. Well, eventually if you're gonna make this faction, you got to do it right, and you got to put all the gold on them, right? So FTR's got to be tag titles. And whoever the other two guys are, whether it's Spears and Cardona, Spears and Page, whatever. I think they mishandled Spears too hard. He can't be the leader. He's got to be the muscle. He's got to be like the kind of the Wyndham, Luger, Mongo. That's the fourth guy, right? The only like the kind of the guy who's there, right? You need your Ric Flair, and the logical is, it's gonna be Cody, but then whoever you do, it's got to be somebody that turns on Cody, makes Cody babyface.
I think they're setting it up that it's not gonna be. I think they're setting it up where everybody's gonna think it's gonna be Hangman,
and it's gonna be Cardona. That'd be great,
because they're gonna have Cardona turn on Cody at the same time FTR turns on Hangman.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
and that would get everybody over his heel, right?
So then you can have Hangman, Cody, and the Bucks face off against the four whomever, whatever we're gonna call the faction.
Yeah, whatever you're calling the faction. Yeah, that would be really good. Eventually, what you got to do is you got to get Spears. You got to get the mid card, the TNT title on Spears. You got to get the World Championship on whoever the leader is. If it's Cardona, the tag titles, and then you can have because the personal animosity is so great between Cody and Cardona. You have Cody say, "Fine, I'm going after the title finally, because I'm going to take away everything you took. You betrayed me. I'm going to take everything that you love in this world, including your title." And then you put Spears into program with any other babyface, and then FTR is just going to have we're going to have that Bucks blow off match at some point. What a better way.
I just think that you still run into a problem whether with Cardona or Spears becoming AEW champion, with the fact that all AEW champions are former WWE guys still.
Well, eventually you're going to start making, like eventually Kenny's going to get that belt. Like you just got to get there. You got to be patient. They're giving Mox
if they
a nice
take it
long
off
run.
Mox and they go to they get ready for this feud.
They might take it off. They might take it off Mox. MJF might take it off Mox.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people are kind of hoping. But I mean, how long do you let Mox or let MJF hold it before you have him drop it? Like how long of a build can you build? Can you build this Four Horsemen story? How long can you go before they actually become a faction? Because if you're saying they all have to have gold, relatively fast.
Not relatively. I mean, 6 months. Like everything moves slower in AEW, right? 6 to 9 months. Like you can have them chase a little bit, but they gotta be dominant pretty early.
But
on.
I mean, you're gonna figure that Cody, Hangman, Bucks, those guys aren't gonna wait 6 months for them to have their big matches against those guys if they get screwed over. Like you're saying. So you kind of have to relatively put those titles on them fairly quick. You can have
some interactions, but you have the new faction keep ducking them. Be heels, be chicken shit heels a little bit. You can do that a little bit, like duck them a little bit and say, "Oh wait, we're not having a match with you. You're not worth getting in the ring." And you have them keep beating up Cody and get more heat, get Cody more sympathy, that sort of thing. So, yeah, so I mean, the AEW show was a pleasant watch. Look, I was not a fan of Evil Uno and Stu Grayson's work. I think those guys have benefited from working with high caliber tag team talent more than any other team in AEW, because Dark Order Young Bucks was a good match.
Yeah.
And Evil Uno, and I don't know.
I mean, those guys always have good matches, though. I mean, with Super Smash Brothers, Bucks tore down stuff out in California. I mean,
yeah, but like, there's a, so Uno looks like he's in the best shape of ever since ever. I like his new ring gear. His moves look crisper. Grayson, I felt Grayson was the more talented one in that group, but I feel like Uno is benefited. I don't know who he's working with,
he's
or if
had
it's
time
just
off too. I mean, he had a while
health
off.
could be a good part of it. They had a really good match. And Dark Order really looks solid, better than I think better in my mind than I've ever really seen them. I was like, okay, this is good, crisp. They're crisper. They're fresh. They look like they're in good shape, and anything to bolster that tag team division, because that's really where the money is in AEW. Like there's the storylines with the top guys or whatever, but look, the tag division in AEW is really it's especially once we get post COVID. I know that could be a while, but you get Lucha Brothers back and working actively, and man, like, I mean, FTR's there now. We don't know who else is going to come. There's already rumblings that the Good Brothers are unhappy at Impact. We haven't even got to that yet. So I methat tag division is deep and strong. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. So that was a really good match. I enjoyed Dark Order and Bucks, and then you had the MJF address, and MJF's the best heel in wrestling right now. Heel.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. Kenta's still. I mean, he's been off TV a lot.
If New Japan was able to work its full schedule with its full roster in Japan, yes, I would concede the argument. But
he's still
right now today.
Everybody online.
That's it. So is MJF though. Like MJF, and you got to remember MJF's what, 25, 24?
Yeah,
young, and he's this good. We are looking at this generation's like Jericho or he's that guy. Like, he's got to put on a little bit of size still. He's still a smaller guy, but his promos, the MJF address, really good. Calling out Moxley, just great. Building this up. maybe a little too long. I'd like it to be a little tighter. That's a personal thing.
I felt
but
like this week's promo was too similar as far as like format for him to where it didn't feel as special to me. Like the one he cut a couple weeks ago was amazing. The dress where he cut that promo against Moxley, and I really enjoyed that. And then this week I was like, all right, well, we kind of did this last week. You got to give me something different. You gotta make this as special or unique. If you're gonna start giving me the same thing every week, I'm gonna lose interest. So that's my hope, is that maybe he moves in a different direction as to how he cuts these. Like, it'd be cool if in a perfect world, a non-2020 world, he could cut these kind of like addresses like at a public place. Like he could, they could, if they were in Washington, he could cut it at the Lincoln Monument, and then if he was at in Philadelphia, he cut it in front of the Liberty Bell, and they could do the whole like campaign thing that he's kind of got going on, but kind of change the locations and stuff to give it a different feel. But because they can't do that, doing this campaign thing, coming out talking at a podium, that kind of thing, it just starts to feel old a lot quicker. So I'm hoping maybe they can mix that up somehow, and I'm not sure necessarily how they do that.
I don't know. You just got to enjoy it though at this point. Yeah, there's always room for improvement, but MJF is just a treat. He is a special little treat that we should just cherish if you like heels. He is really, really good. Jurassic Express and Paige and Omega. All right. So the more I see Luchasaurus, the less I like him. So I think he's really talented. I was not a huge fan of this match. I thought it was lackluster. It was kind of herky jerky and not in a good way, right? Like it was. You and I talked about that when we were talking on the phone earlier, kind of prepping, and I was talking about how I loved wrestling like into the mid 90s, where it still looked not quite as worked as it looks now, where everything looks sharp, where things looked like it was kind of a struggle a little bit, but looked clean, right? Yeah. But it didn't look as crisp as it does. This just didn't look particularly together. A lot of the moves were, they were there. The match was there, and I was like, and the more I watch, the reason I say that, the more I watch Luchasaurus, the less I like him, is because he still has not added hardly any power moves to his repertoire. Like it's great watching him do like the question mark kicks and the spinning side kicks and just being a martial artist and being crazy athletic, and his moonsault's good, and what a standing moonsault, great. Look, you're the biggest guy on the roster, probably one of him and Archer are the two biggest guys on the roster.
And Swagger, yeah.
And Swagger. There you go. The three big. Yeah. So you're one of the biggest guys on the roster, and all you do is strikes. I mean, not all, but almost all you do is strikes and dives. It's a lot of strikes and dives. It's time to evolve.
See, I have a completely different problem. I feel like AEW's tag division is falling into the same trap that WWE's single division has fallen into in recent years. In that, because WWE doesn't like tag teams and doesn't like to do tag team matches, and they do all these singles matches, you see a lot of the same matchups over and over again. We've seen Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy against probably every team on the roster at least once, maybe twice.
They're kind of the mid-card team right now. So,
but the difference being, so like WCW, like you'd see Harlem Heat and the Steiners go at it like all the time, right? But the difference was both those teams had been champions. A lot of times one of those teams was defending against the other one, and it was believable that either one could win it. And in this situation, it's like it's still not believable that, on an episode of Dynamite, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are going to upset Omega and Hangman, because they haven't really upset anybody else.
Yeah. And part of the issue is, I think, with that, especially recently, is COVID. I think a lot of it's COVID because they were
limited with being able to bring Phoenix and
I mean, like the
Pentagon.
other top, but even on the and other like lower guys, just aren't working or whatnot. So there's. I don't want to hammer them too hard for that. I see your point. I agree.
I mean, had
Yeah.
we've seen SCU facing off against Omega and Hangman,
I would have thought, more
Yeah.
likely,
or had we seen the Bucks facing off against them a couple more times, like some teams that have been champions and have that pedigree.
Well, what are the
even FTR?
One of the other issues when you kind of talk about like Steiner's Harlem Heat, right? Like those guys, never really gave you the same match. Like the moves were not necessarily different, but the matches were always constructed differently.
Yeah.
So you saw something different, and I think sometimes with some of the teams in AEW, because they're doing so many high spots, the matches kind of bleed together. So it seems like even though you're watching different matches, because there's so many high spots, it feels like it's a similar or the same match. And that might be part of the problem too, is just a perception issue because of how we are seeing it and seeing the product over and over again, whereas Steiner's and Harlem Heat, the high spots were much lower.
I mean,
so
even had they given Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy an upset non-title win over Hangman and Kenny, which then justified them getting that opportunity, and then they lost. At least going in, you're like, okay, well,
no,
they got
I don't.
a win
Yeah,
going,
that's one of the rare times where you kind of are like, okay, they're not going to do anything here, right? Yeah, where you would have been genuinely shocked if they upset. You would have been like, well, that doesn't really. Okay, I guess we got something cool gonna happen. I guess I don't know. But that was probably. I was like, okay, and then Sky and Cody was a perfectly fine match. Again, not a barn burner, but you didn't know who's going to win. Obviously, Cody's got Brody Lee next. I think this is where if Brody Lee wins, I think Mox retains. If Cody retains, I think MJF wins. Like I think you need to kind of break up your titles. You don't want to, because you got two tweeners holding both your titles.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine that the great and powerful Tony Khan is just going to let that ride for much longer.
Yeah.
Like it's been okay for now, but it's time to get one of the belts on a heel so that people can chase.
Yeah.
And I think it's more important for Brody Lee to win a belt at this point than MJF.
Yep.
Like you brought this guy in, he didn't get his big win over Mox, but good match. And now I will say that the roster has gotten better at taking his discus lariat, because now he looks like he's taking heads off again. And a clothesline is as much about the person taking it as it is the guy delivering it.
I wonder how many of those guys met with DDP like on days off and just were taking discus lariats.
Discus lariats, because it looked. He did it. He did the discus lariat a couple weeks ago. I saw it, and I don't remember who he hit, and he just took their head off, and I was like, that's the best one I've seen so far. I like what I saw out of Brody Lee. That promo he cut on Cody. One of the last shows I think we did it on a show. Either that or you and I were talking. It's 2020 just bleeds together, man. But I was talking about how Brody Lee, I kind of like his character. I don't think we did this on the show. I like his character, but I felt he needed to go in more of a Kingpin direction, like D'Onofrio Kingpin on Netflix Daredevil, where he's this controlled guy. He's a very cerebral guy, but he's got to show that animalistic, like, I will kill you side. And I think we kind of saw that in his promo. Like he was raging.
I think doing it on Being the Elite, I think they need to do more of it on Dynamite, but I think he's doing it on Being the Elite.
Yeah, that's the problem, because I don't watch Being the Elite, because like I see stuff and it makes me want to spike my phone. I've heard it's gotten better.
He's doing a character so heavily influenced by Vince McMahon.
Well, that we knew since day one.
Like he got to this point where like he's throwing like rolled up newspaper at people he's pissed off at, and I'm like okay, he comes in, he's all calm and stuff, and he's like
Mr. Brody McMahon.
Yeah, he congratulated the two guys from Dark Order. Oh God, I can't think of their names. The short
like 30
the short
of them.
bald guy with the beard, and then the taller long haired dude who he tags
There's
with
like
all the time.
there's like 30 of them.
Okay.
So like there's a lot of Dark
If
Order.
the two guys who are with tag teaming, they picked up a win, and he comes back there and he congratulates the one guy, and then just ignores the other guy, and he's like, "But we were a tag team," and he's like, "Yeah, shut up," and like he throws the papers at him and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is funny, like he's picking one of the two he likes better. I'm like, yeah, this seems like a Vince thing, and I really enjoyed what they've done with the character I'm Being the Elite. It's just transitioning that over to Dynamite. That's the one problem. AEW does need that extra hour show that has been talked about. One, because there's a lot of really good content on Being the Elite that not everybody's watching. And then there's also they got Dark going on YouTube, and then they have the women's tag team tournament going on YouTube. And that's all stuff that really needs to
I'll say
be on
it.
TV.
I'll say it. I have no interest in watching the women's tag team tournament.
See, now Ivelisse and Diamante.
I'm really
fantastic.
happy that they signed Ivelisse. Big mark for Ivelisse going back to Lucha Underground, right? Super talented. The division as a whole is again super weak. It's the weakest part of the company.
I think the stuff they had with Big and Little Swole has been great.
It's it's the weakest part of the company, and I'm not saying it's terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm not saying it's bad, Bob. Don't.
You could have said the cruiserweight division was the worst part, the weakest part of WWE, but they still had freaking some of the best wrestlers in the world on that roster.
That is not the case here.
I mean, in comparison to what Impact has, Impact doesn't have a strong women's division either. Ring of Honor basically doesn't have a women's division anymore.
That's because all the talented women in the world, with the exception of 4,
well,
are like the top tier. No offense, because again, I like Ivelisse a lot, right? And there are some individual pieces in AEW talented, right? But when we're talking top women wrestlers in the world, like the top, with the exception of Tessa, the other top 15 are all in WWE, like all of them. That's a problem. that just, it waters down every other company. That's all it does. It's just the way it is right now. As women's contracts come up and they are unhappy, like those, we've talked about this off the air, as the women's talent in WWE, the mid-card women's talent, right? The ones that kind of get overlooked for whatever reason and aren't happy with their position, that they want to bet on themselves, they're going to make a move. And again, you don't want to go to Impact, you want to go to AEW in this case. That is the women's division where you could go over there and really step in and be in the championship mix pretty quickly if you can cut a promo and work in the ring. And although all those women, you just think about the absurd wealth of female talent in WWE right now, top to bottom, right?
The same thing you're saying between WWE and AEW could have been said between TNA and WWE mid 2000s. Freaking TNA had a far superior women's roster to WWE.
Well, but all right, women. So I don't know if you can compare the eras, because women's wrestling has never had this much talent. Their men's wrestling has always had some level of talent. The talent level, the amount of talented women has exploded in the last 5 years.
I'm just saying, like, during the time period where WWE was having Santino
yeah.
Marella and Drake winning women's battle royals.
No,
'cause they
I
didn't have
understand.
anyone else.
Like TNA
TNA
had
had
Kim and beautiful people and all. Like they had the talent,
and
right?
Mickie James and
I get it.
Victoria.
Yeah,
and,
there's a ton of talent over there, right? There was a ton of, and those were all very good. But again, the women's talent back then, even going back all the way back to like Trish and Lita, right? All the talent was clustered right at the top. There was like five of the girls were amazing, and then it fell off dramatically. That doesn't happen anymore. There's a fall off, but it's not as steep, and to get to that level, you got to go way down the card in most companies, even in AEW, right? Like the talent is pretty balanced. I mean, so you have to look at the fact that when some of these contracts come up, you're probably going to have a few that are going to move. And if you're AEW, you need to be smart about trying to acquire some of that talent. Now, you have to assume that like the really top tier names aren't going to want to leave WWE, right? Maybe that changes. Maybe Karen and Sasha. I mean, Bayley and Sasha. Bayley has kind of been ho-hum about some things before. Sasha's hot and cold with the company. Yep. Obviously, they're hot right now, but you said it. What if Becky comes back and things change, or they bring Tessa in, or
I mean they bring Ronda
back,
and then Tessa,
and then all of a sudden Sasha and Bayley are just bumbling on the mid card again. What happens, right? It looks like Ember Moon's in-ring career is done. That's super unfortunate because that's top tier talent. Sure. I don't know. I guess they're pushing Asuka again. Like it's hot. They're hot and cold with her, right? The only people they seem to be hot with really is Charlotte, right? Like Charlotte is Charlotte, which is fine. It's Rhea Ripley up and down again. Like they get hot with her, and then that seems to be the story with the women, unless you're gorgeous blonde, and then Vince falls all over himself. But that's been that way for 25 years plus.
Yep. I mean, I see him pushing Mandy in the future.
Yeah.
And but no, I've enjoyed the women's tag matches. I've enjoyed that 30-minute show on Tuesdays. I think they've done a good job with it. I like that it's going to be the Nightmare Sisters versus Diamante and Ivelisse.
Yeah. I assume the Diamante and Ivelisse got to win that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like, they're clearly the superior team.
I mean, they keep working the idea that the Nightmare Sisters can't get along, that they have this history of being enemies back from like TNA days. So being that they're keep bringing back to that they can't always get along.
Something's gonna happen.
I mean, it makes sense for
something's gonna happen. There's gonna be some kind of breakup or something. Who knows? Well, I mean, there's usually. That's another good thing about AEW. They don't typically do meaningless things.
Yeah.
Like something leads to something unless it's just not working and they hit the kill switch with it, right? And then you'll have like the Nightmare Family or the Nightmare Collective, it just goes away.
Somebody tweeted that. They're like, so what'd Brandy do with all that hair she collected? I'm like, well, she finished her weave and she didn't need it anymore.
Yeah, something. That's the only time really you don't get answers to why stuff happens in AEW. It may take a while. It may take a little while, but you usually get answers. It's been a little more, again, COVID. You got to give them a little bit of a pass. Same thing with WWE. Like, you give WWE a little bit of a pass with COVID. Like, okay, but, not nearly as much as AEW because their roster's so much deeper. But, I guess we should kind of wrap up the last two things. We got New Japan, and then I've got one. I've got to make a public appeal to two of my new favorite human beings. New Japan Bullet Club is evil.
Oh,
that's pretty good. And here we go. See, I was getting all calm, and now I got to go off on IWC marks again. Listen, you chumps. when Evil goes out there and owns some of the best wrestlers in your company to win all the titles, that's not called bad booking. That's called making a guy. Are you stupid? God.
All you LIJ marks, get your LIJ brand Kleenex out and wipe your tears. Because
Naito didn't get a long enough title run.
he freaking had the belt 6 months just because Corona was happening and nobody was wrestling. I mean, he's held it long enough.
Jesus.
I mean, there's a whole lot. If you look back at the history of New Japan, there's a whole lot of short title runs that were way more controversial than this. And the fact that Naito, lost to Evil and Evil turns heel and joins the Bullet Club, and I mean that was fantastic. And the way it affected Hiromu and the way they wrote that in the story, where he was just devastated.
It's been a hot minute, right, Bob? So I just want to go over it and make sure my memory's right, because it's not what it used to be. Like, not only like Evil didn't just beat Naito. Evil beat Okada and Naito to get to win those belts.
Yep.
Like, beat Okada to face Naito and then beat Naito. That's called making a guy, you idiots. Like,
yeah.
you can't and it wasn't like fluke wins. He beat them.
Yep.
Pretty clean.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the ring.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
put him over. I mean, well,
except for Dick Togo.
Well, we'll just yeah, that's what you want to out of heel, but
yep.
You want a little bit of interfere.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, the turn was so beautiful. Like, I think it's Too Sweet's fist.
Yep.
And just boop, and you're like, everybody knows what's coming. Like, you're like, oh snap!
You could hear the internet gasp.
Yeah, for real.
It was crazy. So Jordan and I have been watching them all live, like 5 a.m., getting up and sitting down watching New Japan. So we watched the whole tournament live. So we're live tweeting along, and like he pissed that Too Sweet, and then people are like, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he beat Okada clean though, right?
Yeah.
And to win the
Mm-hmm.
That's called putting a guy over.
Yep.
Like, that's getting a guy. That's making a guy.
Yeah.
Like, you made him champ.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I honestly think the plan for New Japan was that they were going to have Naito drop the belt 6 months in after this tournament to Kenta. I think Kenta was the guy who was supposed to win this tournament. I think they were building for that. They had him sit on Naito's chest with the two belts. I think that's where they were going.
But now
Kenta's stuck in the U.S.
Now you
had to audible that, and the best way to do
so now you get power struggle when Kenta does come back.
Well, now
right?
you got this possible three-way power struggle, because they already teased the power struggle between Kenta and Jay White.
Yeah, so
there's
Evil's the champ,
and now Tama Tonga's going on a singles
looks
run.
It looks like you got the OGs doing OG things, and I mean, there's a lot of directions you could take Bullet Club. You never know. Good Brothers are going to be coming back. They're going to do Japanese shows.
Yeah.
What happens? That's going to be a big shakeup, because obviously,
again, OGBC versus NGBC.
Like there's a lot of possibility, a lot of exciting stuff over there. The New Japan's just good. I mean, it's just solid. It's always good.
Yep.
Like, everything top to bottom.
So something that really has to suck for WWE is to not only regularly have the lesser of the two shows on a Wednesday night, but now to be regularly having the lesser of two shows on a Friday, because New Japan Strong.
Hold on. Like, all right, like the real the hardcore wrestling fans obviously are going to watch New Japan. Look, take a breath.
I'm just saying it's a better show.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's getting better ratings.
All
I'm not
right,
saying
all right. That's
their
okay.
roster's better.
Just clarify.
I'm saying it's a better show.
Just clarify, Bob. You got to clarify, because hold up, like SmackDown is still on network television.
Yeah.
It is kind of the king daddy right now. So
let's
US
also figure in here the difference being they're running an hour show on New Japan Strong, so it's concise. It's you getting like
So-
3 to 4 matches with your U.S. New Japan wrestlers and your
That's
your
gonna be
top
good.
Ring of Honor guys.
So
You know, so it's been every episode's been great. Where SmackDown at 2 hours often is lagging and slow and plodding, and people get bored.
and our shows. That's why NWA Power was so easy to watch because you were in and out. Our shows are great. 2-hour shows are fine when they're done well. 3 hours train wreck, right? Like,
I mean, unless it's a pay-per-view. I mean, a pay-per-view
even
3 hours is good.
Yeah, like if you're doing 4 pay-per-views a year. Like,
No,
I
mean, New Japan runs a freaking 2-day
Too
Wrestle
long.
Kingdom pay-per-view.
Wrestle
and they're
Kingdom is too
amazing.
long now. I am in the Wrestle Kingdom is too long camp.
I'm sorry, I'm waiting.
It was
to
too
go for
long
2
when
days.
it was too long when
3
it was
days.
4.5 hours. Like, it was really long. So
Man, it was never 4.5
So-
hours. It would. They always had the show afterwards, the next day show.
I don't know, man. Like, what the
Now it's just 3 days instead of 2.
Jericho Omega, that whatever Wrestle Kingdom, that was a long show.
Yep.
Like, that's how I felt when I was done watching it. I was like, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like you've watched something and experienced something.
No, you felt like no, that show was too long. Like, it was like 12 bouts. It was that was a long show, Bob.
Yeah.
Like, it was good. I'm not saying
I mean, but
Wrestle
every
Kingdom's
match is
always good. Wrestle Kingdom's always good. But it is a watch, man. Like, I am thankful I do not watch it live. I will watch it over the span of a day. I'll usually break it. I'll watch part of it in the morning, and then I'll take a break, and I'll watch the other half in the evening, and it's perfect. That's the best. That's the best way.
Man.
Like, now
You
that
watch
it's
it all
2
live.
days, like, it's a little different. But that's kind of how I used to watch it. But
yeah, and I feel like now that they've went 2 days, it's shortened.
that's true.
overall,
That's
too.
true. It did shorten it up. But, like, it was really, they had to do something because it was pushing like WWE WrestleMania times.
They've only been running 2 to 3 hours since they've come back from COVID. Like their shows, every show they do in Japan have been 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
So they've been shorter shows, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, easier to watch.
Getting up
for
at
sure.
5:30 showtime, you're done by
I'm good. I'll watch
8:30,
it.
9
I'll watch it
o'clock.
later. So, before we wrap up, I need to make the impassioned plea to Miro and CJ, not Lana, CJ, because their YouTube channel is like crack, and they are two of the most likable human beings on the planet when you watch
They
them.
got thrown off YouTube yet?
He got banned from Twitch
Yeah.
for a day or 2 days or whatever. He got suspended because CJ walked on camera in a bikini, and you can't do that on Twitch. So
Yep.
he ate that's fine. Like, I've been watching some of Miro's stuff, right? And I liked Rusev and I liked Lana, I loved him as a heel. And now I want him to come back and be even more heelish, right? Like, because he's one of these guys that's really likable. I think he could be super successful. And I think, and I left this in a comment. I left a comment on one of his videos, and him or his admin or whatever pinned it. And I was like, look, Miro, please come back. Like, so this is another passionate appeal because he's flirted like he's not going to come back. Rumors are he's going to do an appearance at All Out. That's the rumor. But he's also said, like, he doesn't want to wrestle anymore. He wants to be a gamer. I don't know if that's a swerve or a work or what he's doing. But I need like Miro.
Apparently all wrestlers are gamers now. If you look at Twitch.
Yeah, but like, I mean, he's got like 200,000 followers on YouTube already, and he's really gone kind of all in, and she is like really helping him. And I was like, Miro, please come back as a heel. Like, you are like monster smash heel. I love it. And I'm like Lana is a great character, right? CJ did great with Lana, but the more I watch her in her like real life persona, I see her as like this generation's Sunny. And not like people are recall, Jamie St. John, she's terrible.
Love Sunny.
Sunny could get heat like no other.
Yep.
Like, in her prime, back in the day, heat magnet. And I
Absolutely.
view, I'm like that's kind of what my point was. I was like, look, Lana's a great character. CJ's done great with Lana, but like, the more I watch their videos, And the more I see like her personality, if she like turned up like the heel button and was just left to her own devices, I think she could be one of the biggest heat magnets in the business.
Having watched some early Total Bellas and Total Divas, she would get into these stupid fights with Natty, and they'd be catty and they'd be irritating, and I would just be like, oh my god, I hate them both so much. And I'm like how is this show making me hate Natalia? But like they're throwing each other's phones into fucking pools,
yeah, no,
and so they just completely act up. They get drunk and act stupid, and I'm like,
that's pretty hilarious,
man.
You're making me want to go watch like Total Diva Bella's stuff.
Total Divas.
I don't want
her
to watch
on Total
that.
Divas. It was ridiculous.
No, so the impassioned appeal is Lana, CJ, please let your contract run out with WWE. Miro, please come back and smash people in AEW, or New Japan. I mean, New Japan would be great too.
So what faction in New Japan?
I don't. None.
Suzuki-gun.
None.
Suzuki-gun.
None. I
Suzuki-gun.
just want him to crush people. Well,
Suzuki-gun.
yeah, but no, I just want him to crush people.
Minoru and Moro go ahead and win the take belts.
Okay.
By
You
destroying
don't
everybody.
have to really sell me on Minoru doing Minoru things, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I think he is.
Man, he could show up in New Japan and just like start destroying people and destroy all these young lions and have them keep putting young lions against him, have him destroy them, and then that be the thing that gets Minoru to be like join Suzuki-gun. We're like soulmates. Oh, it'd be so
that'd be
good.
Great. He was so good in his, even with the bad WWE booking, his program with Cena, like in hindsight, they made that work in extremely confusing rules with the bad Russian chain match and the stoplights and the tank. He has one of the best WrestleMania entrances of all time.
Yep.
The tank entrance and just like, and it's like, man, you see his personality like on the YouTube channel and you're like, what could this guy do where in a promotion where he is given just direction and creative freedom, and what could she do in the same environment? And I'm like, please, guys, this is the plea. Somebody let Miro and CJ know they have to get out of WWE hell. Well, she's got to get out of WWE hell, and he needs to get back in the ring because I need Miro. I need him wrestling under his as Miroslav. Like Miroslav, whatever. I don't care. Just Miroslav, add a last name. Just be this awesome, crushing, threatening Eastern European monster heel that wrestling is missing out on in this generation. Please make this happen. That's my appeal. Bob, sorry. I just had to hijack the show because the more I watch them, I'm like, they are money. These two are money someplace, and it's just a matter of time before that happens.
Well, that's
a lot of we've been on way too long.
Yeah, you've had a lot to talk about. This is what happens when you step away from
I always have a lot
for months.
Well, I mean, how do you not have a lot to talk about when you have statutory rapists in main events of pay-per-views?
We barely even touched on New Japan. There's so much. There's so much to talk about.
I think we're gonna try and shoot another show in a few days in between with the off schedule. So we've got the big weekend of shows, and AEW, not a big show, just kind of standard, TV. It's lineup's good.
New Japan Strong
New
Friday.
Japan Strong Friday.
We get to see Kenta versus David Finlay. Winner gets the shot at the U.S. title. So there's a real possibility we get Moxley Kenta.
It's Kenta Moxley.
And Jay White's going to be back wrestling for the first time since the Corona. He's teaming with Chase Owens. They're facing off against Villain Enterprises.
Should be good.
Bullet Club Villain Enterprises. Flip Gordon and
should be good.
Yeah, I mean,
so a lot of wrestling this weekend. So we're going to try and do an early show in between, probably before NXT next week, and really kind of cover the weekend. So that'll be another long one. I'm sure I'll have plenty to say. I'll be over here screaming about McAfee winning and the entire NXT roster being buried, and Velveteen Pedophile rocking his new North American title.
Yeah. And
allegedly.
Yeah, we'll see.
Allegedly.
We'll see if I can bring myself to watch SummerSlam or not. We'll see how that goes. I don't know.
I'm gonna watch SummerSlam.
We'll
way I can just rail against it the way Jim Cornette rails against the AEW. That sounds like a plan. I'm gonna bite. I'll bite the bullet. I'll take one for the team. I'll watch SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So I'll have a lot. I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about that hot dumpster fire when it's all done because
I'll watch the good wrestling and you watch the bad wrestling.
This is not fair. All right, do us all a favor, guys. Hit the like, subscribe button. If you want us to read your comments, hit us up on Twitter. That's the best place to get us. Smarking down everywhere you want to look. So for Brother Bob, I am Travis. Let's too sweet the button and get the hell out of here.